Afghanistan. How should the Afghan people perceive this withdrawal?
Well, I think what it signals is the success of the surge that we put in a year and a half ago. And it also signals the seriousness with which we take transition. In 2009, I announced that we would send an additional 30,000 troops in. And our goal was very specific. We were going to blunt the momentum of the Taliban that was taking on more and more control of the country. And we were going to use that time to make sure that we were training Afghan security forces so that Afghans would have the capacity to secure their own country. We've made enormous progress during that time. And so what we've seen is an additional 100,000 Afghan forces trained. We've seen areas like Kandahar and Helmand wrested away from the Taliban so that communities can feel more secure and more safe. And what we now are doing is going to remove 10,000 troops by the end of this year, an additional 23,000 by the end of next summer. We'll get back down to the levels that we were before the surge, and then we'll continue to transition as Afghan forces stand up with the goal of completing this transition by 2014. Beyond 2014, though, we want to make sure that we maintain the strong relationship with the Afghan people and the Afghan government. We won't have the same military presence, but what we hope on economic and development agendas that we're going to continue to work with Afghans as we have.
What kind of impact do you think it'll have on the NATO allies? For example, how would you ensure that the NATO allies themselves don't rush for the exits and in a sense get out of the country before we do?
Well, we actually made sure that we consulted closely with our NATO allies before making the decision. I've subsequently discussed this with the Secretary General of NATO.